I think every country has its own approach, its own history, its own ethnic balance. It so happens that in France, probably a majority of the Muslims who live in France come from North Africa. It so happens the majority of those who live in Germany are probably of Turkish origin. It so happens the ones in Britain are probably from South Asia, largely from Pakistan, but not entirely. So you've got all sorts of different origins, of different roots, and how you approach them depends on the reasons why they've come. Some have come for reasons of family reunification. Some have come because there's a long history of linkages between that part of their country and a region of Britain, or it may be for historical reasons because of the end of empire in different parts of the world, whether it's for France or whether it's for us or the Dutch or even the Belgians. So there's a multiplicity, if you like, of historical circumstance which is behind the ethnic mix that we have all got. How have we gone about this? Well, we're all doing different things. I don't think there is any magic formula. Obviously, there have been some problems in some of the big banlieues, the big suburbs of France, and the big cities. We have had problems in certain cities of our own. We have been, I suppose, a little bit more multicultural rather than assimilatory in terms of the policy that we have taken. But we've had to adapt that as well, just like in France, people are adapting the model, the way in which these issues are handled. There was a time not very long ago, for example, when children in parts of the north of England could go to school and there was no obligation to learn English because we allowed them to be themselves. But we have come to the conclusion that if people are going to make a success of their lives in Britain, they've got to be part of Britain. They've got to accept British values, British language, British rules. So you have to adapt a bit. So I think we're all looking at this afresh to try to ensure that our immigrant communities, who play such an important part of our lives in so many ways, are as integrated as they can be, are as comfortable as they can be with their adopted country, and hopefully become less and less inclined to be brainwashed by this nonsense which these extremists are peddling, and which bears no reality in terms of the life they're leading, and no reality in terms of their prospects, and no reality either to the attitude of their adopted country, where we're talking about immigrants. Some of them, of course, are not adopted, some of them were born there, but no reality to the attitude of the society and the country is concerned towards people like them. It's a pretty poisonous, twisted, manipulatory ideology, and so part of the challenge for us is to address that. And there are many different ways in which all of our different countries are doing that, but we are also increasingly discussing with each other how do we counter the extremism, not just the violent extremism, but the extremist narrative as well, so that we can try to address the problem before it becomes violent, before it becomes a threat to our physical security.